Nintendo fans, brace yourselves. The Switch 2 is shaping up to be one of the most exciting consoles of the next generation, but also one of the most frustrating. And no, I'm not talking about game prices or shortages. I'm talking about something far sneakier, a design choice that's going to quietly drain the wallets of almost every Switch 2 owner. Nintendo has locked the new console's dock behind proprietary technology. In other words, your old accessories, the ones that worked perfectly with the original Switch, your laptop, and even your phone, suddenly don't work with the Switch 2. And this isn't a technical limitation. This is a business decision. Let's break down what Nintendo did, why it matters, and why it could set a dangerous precedent for the entire tech industry. On the surface, the Switch 2 looks great. It has a USB-C port, just like the original Switch. You'd think that means compatibility with the hundreds of docks and dongles already out there. But when you plug the console into a third-party dock, nothing happens. No video output, no charging, just failure. That's because Nintendo added a special communication handshake that only their own docks understand. Even though third-party docks support the exact same power delivery and video output standards, the Switch 2 rejects them. It's like Nintendo looked at the word universal in Universal Serial Bus and said, nah, not for us. So what's actually going on under the hood? Normally, USB-C devices negotiate power and data using a standard protocol called USB Power Delivery, or USB PD. Your device says, here's how much power I need. The charger says, here's what I can provide. They agree, and everything works smoothly. The Switch 2, however, adds what's called a vendor-defined message. This is basically Nintendo's way of asking, hey, are you an official Nintendo product? If the answer isn't exactly what it expects, the connection shuts down. That means docks from Anker, Hyper, Dell, or any other trusted brand won't work, even though they meet all the technical requirements. Now, you might think, so what? Just buy the official dock. And sure, you can, but it's gonna cost you. An extra Nintendo dock could run you $120 or more, and you'll need one in every room you want to play. Want something more portable for travel? Too bad. You're locked into Nintendo's ecosystem. And this isn't just about money, it's about precedent. Nintendo is a market leader. If they normalize this kind of behavior, what's stopping other tech giants from following suit? Imagine buying a phone that only charges on its official charger. Oh wait, we already lived through that. Here's the kicker. The Switch 2 isn't even pushing the limits of USB-C. Charging caps out at 15 watts. That's slower than most modern smartphones. Variable refresh rate, supported only in handheld mode, not through the dock. And performance-wise, it's less capable than most laptops or even some tablets that work perfectly fine with standard docks. So these restrictions aren't about delivering cutting-edge features. They're about locking users into an ecosystem for no real benefit. Even Apple, a company famous for proprietary accessories, hasn't gone this far with USB-C. The fact that Nintendo is less universal than Apple should tell you just how absurd this is. So why did Nintendo do this? There are two main possibilities. Malicious intent, they want to sell more accessories and maximize profit. Tactical laziness, they got their dock working, didn't bother to test with anything else, and shipped it anyway. Either way, the result is the same. Customers pay the price. So what are your options? You could wait for third-party manufacturers to crack the code. Some, like the Antank S3 dock, already claim to work with the Switch 2. But Nintendo can block these at any time with a firmware update. You could hold out hope that Nintendo releases a firmware patch to improve compatibility. It's technically possible, but based on history, not very likely. Or, the hardest option of all, you could vote with your wallet. Stop rewarding this kind of behavior until companies realize consumers won't tolerate it. The problem is, Nintendo makes some of the best games in the world. And let's be honest, most of us aren't going to skip the next Zelda or Mario just because the dock costs too much. That's exactly why Nintendo feels safe making these decisions. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one console or one dock. It's about the future of how companies treat their customers. If Nintendo gets away with locking down USB-C, a standard that was literally designed to be universal, what's next? So if you care about consumer rights, tech standards, or just not wasting money on overpriced accessories, keep your eyes on this story. Because as fun as Nintendo's games are, their hardware decisions are starting to feel less like play and more like pay. You can easily stretch it with visuals like comparisons of Switch 1 dock versus Switch 2 dock, animations of the USB handshake process, examples of overpriced proprietary accessories, clips of Apple/other companies doing or not doing similar things.